Today's character is one of the most infamous horror characters of our generation, an internet legend that has reshaped the way we view modern folklore and cryptids. I am of course talking about the Slender Man. June 8th, 2009. On the website known as Something Awful, there was this challenge held that asked for users to simply try and make a non-scary image scary. There were hundreds and hundreds of submissions, but none would have the social impact quite like Victor's surge. Victor uploaded 2 photos on June 10th, the first of which being a group of teenagers looting around all nonchalantly, but they weren't the only loons in the photo. In the background, you can make out the darkened silhouette of a tall and strange-looking figure. The same can be said for the second image. A group of kids are playing at a park, not a single fuck given, until you make out the tall man in the background once more. This time, he appears to have tentacles as well. By today's standards, these pictures may not seem all that frightening, but you really have to look at them with the perspective of people from 2009. You see, the early days of the internet were incredible. While this wasn't the very start of it, I'd say this was the internet's awkward middle school years. YouTube, MySpace, Poptropica, and a plethora of other websites like Something Awful gave millions of people a platform to share their creativity with the world. Marble Hornets was a series created by Troy Wagner and Joseph Delage on June 20th, 2009. This series was an ARG, alternate reality game. This series was about a creature known as the Operator stalking and killing his victims. In all honesty, this series was the pioneer for future ARGs. And some of them you honestly might know, especially now, like the Mandela Catalog or Gemini Home Entertainment.
Let me in, Mark. I have a gift for you. I have a present.
Marble Hornets went on for 3 seasons and further boosted the popularity of the Slender Man. Now think about this for a moment. Early days of the internet, a smiling dog pic spreads like wildfire. Now a super tall faceless man in a tuxedo? Scorched earth. So it's no surprise when an uncanny creature photoshopped with some old school pics takes the world by storm. I mean, look at it.
Yo, look at it!
A 7-foot tall man in a suit with bone white skin and a featureless face to boot. Before all the memes and shit, Slenderman was absolutely terrifying and truly brilliant in design. It's so simple yet so effective since it plays on something we all notice, the Uncanny Valley.
Please watch my video on Uncanny Valley, I put a lot of effort in.
Now I won't go too deep into the Uncanny Valley, but the summary of it is, the Uncanny Valley is the uneasy feeling people often get when they see an artificial representation of a human, like these robots or hell even a faceless Japanese yokai. Basically a non-human thing trying to look human. It pulls it off in some ways, but you can still notice that whatever it isn't fully human. Yes, you can make out the inspirations like the tall man, the Noborabo, but in no way was he just a blatant copy of them. Just a simple, highly effective design of modern horror. Now moving on, let's talk about the pictures themselves. After all, these 2 images right here are literally his introduction to the world. So aside from Slenderman's design, what else made these images scary? If you ask me, it's easily the fact that there's a sense of realism behind the photos. Like I stated in my Trevor Henderson art dark dive, the found photo look the images have help make the obviously fake creature appear more real, seamlessly blending them into the background. It also helps that it's like black and white and 240p, which just elevates the story they're trying to get across that these are in fact recovered photographs. At the bottom, there was context added to each image, but we'll discuss what that says later. Slenderman was a goldmine for modern scary stories and folktales to blossom in the early days of the World Wide Web. His popularity sparked the creation of so many other strange freaks. Now, I'm not saying he was the very first one, but it definitely helped escalate the popularity of them. But in all seriousness, Jeff the Killer, Ben Drown, Sonic.exe, Tails Doll, Squidward Suicide, what the fuck am I talking about? My main point is that these characters were all a bigger picture of modern day folklore. Whereas in the past, most stories were spread around orally, creepypastas were spread around quite literally everywhere in every shape or form.
Nah, that was weak. Flip the page again, let's see what else this book has to offer.
Ah, yes, the lore. Slenderman has a pretty disgusting amount of lore behind him, from official to...
Oh, yes!
But I'm determined to look through some of it, so let's start off with 2 photos that I talked about earlier. We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them. But its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comfort us at the same time. 1983. Photographer unknown. Presumed dead. One of the two photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day of which 14 children vanished and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at a library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986. Photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. These were the first pieces of information we got regarding any information about the Slender Man, and honestly, ever since then, not much else has been explained, at least canonically. You see, with a character as popular as Slender Man was in the early 2010s, people would make their own series and games like I talked about before, and with that came loads of different backstories about him. But one thing that I found really consistently with the canon and all the other stories is that he tends to befriend children, gaining their trust before kidnapping them. The Slenderman was the main component that led to the renaissance of modern horror, paving an opening for millions of people to share and expand their own love for horror and storytelling. I think it's honestly incredible looking back at how big of a character and inspiration the Slenderman was for the horror genre. What? I forgot about something? Alright, let me see it. Oh yeah. Movie's ass!